my two favorite co-hosts of all time, Matthew Sponauer and Theo Ash. And welcome back to another episode of Stay Hot, presented by our good friends over at Little Caesars Pizza. We're Stay Hot. They're staying ready with some hot and ready pizza for you all NFL season long. And Theo and I are both dressed up for this Halloween episode of Stay Hot. Theo's dressed as a witch for the witching hour of 7 hours of commercial-free football. I assume that's what it's from, right?
Not even remotely in the consideration of why I wore the hat. The thought process behind the costume was I don't have a costume, and so I went to Spirit Halloween and got the dopest hat I could find and a staff.
The staff is cool. I like the staff. I'm Jimi Hendrix. Nothing new here. I have 2.5 costumes that I wear every single year. So,
and Matt is an Ohio State assistant coach.
Yeah, Matt
is Brian. He's the Michigan staffer in disguise.
There you go.
Trying to film Ohio State's calls.
Matt is Brian Hartline right now.
I'm an undercover cheater who needs to have their last 3 years of wins vacated.
Thrown in jail and
needs to be thrown in jail.
But today we're talking about, of course, NFL Week 8, little under halfway through the season. Talk about some breakout performances. We saw Will Levis debut. Big game. The Panthers finally got their first win. So Matt is finally vindicated, and we can finally have a real positive discussion about the Carolina Panthers. And the Browns lost. And the Packers lost. So for the first half, is this the only time where the Panthers are the only of our teams to get a win?
I think it must be, considering that they.
No, I'm saying like in the history of Stay Hot, has there ever been a time
before? Thank you very much.
My bad. I won't assume. Yeah, before we get into
it, probably is, honestly. But
how are you, Matt? How are you doing?
I mean, I got to be good, right?
Yeah,
I got to be good. So. My Panthers won. I got to be good.
I would hope.
That kind of sounds like you're not good, Matt.
Why would I not be good? The Panthers won.
I don't know.
Who are you trying to? Are you trying to convince us or yourself?
No. I mean, I'm happy. I'm happy they got a W. They don't have their first round picks. So I don't care about that at all. There's no I'd rather tank. I thought Bryce looked pretty good today, so that was good. It wasn't the highest scoring performance for the Panthers offense, but that was not on Bryce, let me tell you. Oh, Bryce wasn't perfect, but he was good.
Yeah.
This is the first game where I really thought he was. Maybe this is wrong. Maybe I'm just saying that because it's a win, but this was a game where he was, even creating some extra and being really precise all the time. And I thought he played a pretty overall clean game. So yeah, I'm in a good mood. I'm glad the Panthers won and Ohio State won. And Cincinnati.
They won on probably their worst rushing performance of the year so far, which is saying something.
Lord.
Yeah.
Don't they have the worst rushing offense in the NFL?
They very well might. And today was pretty atrocious in terms of their overall success rate, which was 13% on their rushes. So it was all on the quarterback today. I didn't watch. I'm literally skimming the box score, but that's
well, it was bad.
It done.
1.8 yards a carry. You actually can just look at the box score and know what you need to know. It's truly unbelievable how much worse their offensive line is than last year. It's incredibly bizarre, and I guess it has to come down to, some injuries up front. They still don't have a quarterback back. I don't think he was back this week. Icky has been just a disaster for him this year. He's been just, unplayably bad. And just overall, the unit looks weak. They can't run the ball. Miles Sanders looks bad. It's Hubbard is RB1, although he didn't even get up to 2 yards a carry. Although better than Sanders, who had 0.
It is
so better. It's been rough with the rushing game, but But I feel like offensively, they switched up their play caller to Thomas Brown, the offensive coordinator, instead of Frank Reich. I think they got away from doing so much of the RPO stuff and sort of just let Bryce drop back and do a little bit more, I felt like, instead of trying to like play the numbers on screens every single snap. And that was good. And for the most part, I thought Bryce did a pretty good job. He had some plays where he would, get out of the pocket and hit guys down the field, which, that's part of the reason why we drafted him. There's some plays where it looks like he's going to run and then he flips it to Thielen. It's like, okay, that's exactly what I wanted to see. As sort of, being able to roll out, but keeping all of his options, open. There was still some times where, we let up a lot of pressures, and the offensive line should be blamed for a lot of that, but also Bryce. His escapability is still not great all the time. He's still just kind of slipping and sliding around there a little bit, but less than before, I felt like. I think the offense could have put up a better number performance if it hadn't been for some serious drop issues and then getting stopped on the goal line on 4th down. So overall, a pretty good game with no run game to lean on and poor receiver play. Bryce, for the most part, got it done. I was very happy with it. And the defense played well.
I was about to say the other side. CJ
the rushing
Stroud,
defense
the
was not, the worst or the second worst behind the Broncos in the league today. I love to see that. And while I honestly thought the secondary didn't play bad either. They were trying to limit deep stuff, and Stroud, you can't give up an inch against him or he can fire it at anything. It's ridiculous, man. He had a couple throws over the middle that were insane. But they batted like I think the final number came to like 6 passes, and Stroud had 8 incompletions. And I know at least one of those is a drop, and I can't remember the other. So it was really crazy stuff. Derek Brown was on one today. I think he had a couple of them, although I don't know if I can find the stat for it. So yeah, I mean, they only credited him with 1. I thought he had another. I don't know. Maybe it wasn't 6. Maybe it was like 4. But they played a really good game, and they sort of kept the pass rush was there too, and they kept him off pace. I don't think Houston's supporting cast around CJ Stroud is that good. That's one of my big takeaways. Nico Collins has come into his own. Tank Dell is good for a rookie, but not like a super, super reliable option. And Robert Woods is kind of like, although I'm not sure he had any targets or even saw the field. I didn't hear his name called at all. It's like, Noah Brown after that. And their offensive line stunk today. It did nothing. Yeah. So I don't think Stroud, it's like when we're comparing Bryce and Stroud, which I don't think we really, need to all the time, or at least not at this point. I say the Panthers guy and the Ohio State guy can both be good. But a lot of Panthers fans be like, well, and a lot of fans, Stroud's honestly got like a really good supporting cast. I don't think it's that great, Like where would you rank the receiver core? Where would you rank their current offensive line? I don't think either of those units are in the top.
I think what's made Stroud's rookie season so nice is that it's not so good. Like
right. The point being, it's him. I don't think Houston's like in a bad spot. I think maybe we got a little bit ahead of ourselves with like where they're going to finish this year.
True, we did. And we did have some playoff hopes for them.
They're close, and it's like maybe I'll say the weapons aren't great now, but you give Tank Dell another year, who had some nice plays, but I guess just didn't produce a ton today. And you bring in one more guy, and all of a sudden that with Nico Collins, like that's really good. And the offensive line just got to
get healthier,
get
healthier. Yeah. It's been really banged up.
But this was the preseason.
I'm not being negative on the Texans, and I'm saying Stroud's good. That's what I mean.
Yeah. And that was the preseason discussion too, is like the weapons aren't good. You shouldn't expect a whole lot. And the fact that Stroud has been playing as well as he is impressive. And it can only go up from here when you get more resources around him. But yeah, Panthers good. They're winning the Super Bowl now. Congrats, Matt.
I think we can go on a run. I really do. And shout out Mike Boone for getting a carry today.
Mike Boone. Oh, yes, for the Texans.
Mm-hmm.
I watched him get a carry for Houston on the All-22 during the week in the 32-man fantasy league when all 4 of my running backs were on a bye. I saw him get 1 carry on All-22, and I went to go pick him up, but he was already on a roster.
Mike Boone already being on a roster. Like, such a deep cut.
I was like, who just got the ball? I was like, Boone? Mike Boone? And then I went to go. I'm like, there's no way.
I think Mike Boone has less than 10 fantasy points this year.
So I would probably say it's less than 3.
He's got 3 rushes for 20 yards, 4 catches for 29 yards. And
see, the 4 catches, that makes it better than who I eventually had to go with, which was Travis Homer, who I don't think had any fantasy points all year, and then Deion Jackson, who got cut the week after I started him, and he scored 0.
Wait, Theo, you have Travis Homer. I have DJ Dallas.
DJ Dallas is a way better option. I mean, Travis Homer's in Chicago, and that was the week that Foreman scored 3 touchdowns, so there wasn't much room for old.
Just saying, they used to be
Homer,
all Seattle buddies, you know.
But
yeah, it's real bad. And I know someone had to face Will Levis in the 32-man fantasy league.
I know they were holding their breath if it was going to be Levis or Malik Willis. And now to the underdog treat of the week segment, which works in 2 capacities because it's almost Halloween and dogs like treats. So
okay.
It's the treat of the week. This week's treat of the week was another rookie quarterback, not CJ Stroud, not Anthony Richardson, not Bryce Young, but someone who famously fell to the 2nd round, Will Levis.
What? What?
No way.
Why are you looking like that?
4 touchdowns. Unlocks just the most explosiveness in this Titans offense we've seen in a couple of years, let alone just this year. Pretty much since they've gotten rid of A.J. Brown, they haven't had any sort of downfield passing attack. And that all changed today with Will Levis. He was aggressive throwing down the field. He was able to throw under pressure, throw into tight windows. And he's a stay-hot legend. So happy
he is
to
a
see
stay-hot legend.
He is a stay-hot
I watched
legend.
his performance. Theo, what did you think?
I thought it was quite good. I mean, I don't know how repeatable it is, but it was good for what it was. You know, you get all these play action shots.
Yeah.
It's something that you're going to have to do a different way at some point. Like, you're not always going to be able to just drop back, have that much time and bomb it down the field to Hopkins, who's wide open. But I thought the arm talent was really, really striking.
Yeah.
I mean, when he releases the football, that thing is just going a million miles an hour. It gets downfield fast. It goes, and a lot of the times he had time to kind of hit a pump fake or a little shoulder shimmy. And that takes time to do and then reset. He was throwing downfield kind of late in the down and still hitting guys in stride. So it puts a lot of stress on a defense when he can throw anywhere on the field. Like that last touchdown, the 4th one, they moved the launch point pretty far to the right.
Yes, and then he threw it back to the left.
Then he threw it back.
That throw was money, man. No, his arm is nuts. I saw some stat like those 3 go balls he had that were completed for touchdowns were like all top 10 in air yards of all passes this year.
I believe it. They were all huge bombs.
I thought one of them was the one you just said was like a pretty crazy, like, okay, that was a great. There was one where it was like busted coverage, Hopkins wide open. But good to get it down that far. And then one was sort of like a 50-50. Hopkins just won the ball.
Yeah. And then there was there were a couple to Burks that could have been completed if.
That's very true.
Burks was not a fraud. No. One was a really good play by the defender to punch his hand in there. And then the other was Burks got squeezed a little too far to the sideline. I mean, that would have been a crazy catch for him to have made. But they were still fantastic throws regardless. So could have been an even bigger day. But it wasn't just Will Levis in this game. Derrick Henry was playing really well. Tajay Spears played really well.
The line just played really well. The line kicked ass. The line
on both sides. Jeffrey Simmons went off. He threw Bijan Robinson one play like 5 yards sideways. I'm like, oh my God, he's a freak, man.
Yeah, he's a monster. He is a monster. I only watch the Titans offense, so I can't speak for Ritter's weird pseudo benching. Everyone reported that it was a benching, but it wasn't a benching.
Yeah.
He had a concussion, so I guess it just wasn't a benching, and people thought it was because he wasn't playing well before.
Yeah,
it wasn't a benching.
No, it was not a benching.
He will be back. He will be back.
I firmly
because
believe
everybody loves to get him. Everybody is trying to like get Ritter, man.
People just hate Arthur Smith.
Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong.
I think people hate Arthur Smith more than Ritter. I
think
what do you
they
mean
hate
everybody's
both of them
after
equally.
Ritter?
Well, first off, what it is you know, the fantasy crap. I get it.
All those guys hate Arthur Smith because Arthur Smith didn't use Bijan.
I get it. I get it. You want to get the big weapons involved, but like, it's not Ritter's fault. It's not. But here's my question. Here's my question to you. Okay, Desmond Ritter is evil force against like nature or whatever, against the Falcons. But like, why can't he be like a Minshew type or a Heineke type, where it's like, okay, this guy's like a borderline starter, but everybody likes him. What did Ritter
Heineke
do?
Played better than him today. So
what did Ritter do to get in the other bucket?
Because Ritter is still a franchise quarterback. Like, he did end up going in the 3rd round, but the whole pre-draft process, people were mentioning him as a first-round pick and as, QB1 in the draft. And so that put expectations on him. And then there's all the weapons with London and Pitts and Bijan that everyone is like, okay, I'm drafting them in fantasy. And if they don't perform, like, I'm going to be pissed because I drafted Pitts in round 4 or I drafted Bijan number 1 overall. And when those things don't happen, I think the expectations and falling short of them, and then just the general investment that people have in the offense makes it so like the quarterback needs to put up numbers like it is in any offense. And I think with Ritter, the turnovers recently have been bad. I don't think Ritter has been playing.
When he gets the ball out of his hand for the most part, the last few weeks, it's been pretty good.
It has been all right. I think that it hasn't been necessarily this disaster worth benching today, even if he didn't get the concussion. Like, you might as well see it through. They were first in the division heading into this game. He did have some flashes. Recently, he had a really, really fantastic game. Who was that against? His huge one?
Washington, maybe?
Yeah.
Or was Washington the bad guy?
That wasn't that. No, Washington was the horrible one. That was the horrible one.
Washington was a tough one, and then he had a
Houston was
good
the
game
great
against
game.
Tampa outside of the fact that he fumbled 3 times, and he had the bogus one on the goal line too. That sucked. But here's how you know if Ritter played well, though. It's a little trick. Wait till Sunday and go on your Twitter timeline. And if nobody is saying anything about Desmond Ritter, he must be playing like an MVP. And why does everybody want to victory lap about a 3rd round quarterback not being good?
This is what Dolphins fans say about Tua also. They're like, you guys only talk about Tua when he's playing.
Then I agree.
Redanon,
the number of people who just like come in and like slam dunk about Ritter not being good. Why, man? He's a 3rd round quarterback. No shit. It's like the hit rate on that is like 5%. Actually, that is something that makes me very mad. Is that when people not just about Ritter, just in general, when people are like, they like puff their chest out about like knowing that quarterbacks won't be franchise guys. Like, dude, that's not like, of course they're not. Like, the hit rate on any quarterback taken anywhere being really good, like a top 10 guy, which is what a franchise guy is. It's like nothing, man. Hey, it's like 2%, dude.
If we were drafting, it would be 100%.
That doesn't mean it's not but 100% of people think the quarterback is going to be a franchise guy, even though the hit rate is low. I don't know.
No.
The amount of people who think like this is not going to work is very low on any franchise quarterback. Everyone loves all the quarterbacks.
That doesn't make it a bold take.
No, I guess it isn't really, but it is in the scheme of things if you say that someone is going to be a bust.
Well, apparently all the quarterbacks in this class are good. Richardson, Young, Stroud, Levis.
It's been a good start for all of them. I think Young, it hasn't been a great start. Obviously, for Richardson, it hasn't been a great start because his shoulder is messed up now. But he was good when he was in.
Right.
No one is off the rails bad yet. Bryce has only thrown 3 picks past the line of scrimmage all year. The explosiveness. We'll see if he ever lives up to the billing of like trade up in the first round type of prospect. But I don't think that he's been like any kind of historically bad. Yeah. So it has been a good quarterback class, all things considered so far. And Stroud looks like a real hit, no doubt.
Yes.
More so than the other 3.
Really, his accuracy and his aggressiveness is just nuts, man.
Yes. This episode of Stay Hot is presented by Underdog Fantasy, the spookiest fantasy app on the market. We have haunting parlays where you can pick the over-under of multiple players on your favorite team and stack them. And Underdog has other game modes as well. They have NBA if you want to bet on that. World Series props as well. And if you use code Stay Hot when you get the app, they will double your first deposit up to $100. Ooh. So if you put in 50, it will become 100. Oh, how do they do it? No one knows. And that's what's scary about it. So download the fun Underdog Fantasy app and use code Stay Hot, and they will double your first deposit up to $100. I watched Jaguars Steelers, which I don't have too many takes about.
Yeah, I heard the Steelers offense was complete dog
shit. To be completely
shit.
honest with you, Jaguars like becoming on my don't watch list, on my no watch list, dog. I hate their games for the most part. Do they not?
They haven't been as exciting.
Games?
They haven't been as exciting as maybe they should be, but they're 6-2. I feel like everyone's so down on the Jaguars, like, oh, just disappointment. Like, I would kill to be 6-2 right now. And their weapons aren't none of their weapons are consistent. It just doesn't feel like an offense. Well, let me finish. Let me finish.
I said that about Ritter.
Shut up. No,
I was not the first person to comp Desmond Ritter to Trevor Lawrence.
I do. I think that Ritter was not Power 5 T-Law. I think that's not the worst comp ever, but I don't want to talk about Ritter anymore. I didn't even watch the Falcons offense, so I don't even have anything to say about Ritter's game today. But as far as the Jaguars go, it just feels like everyone's inconsistent. They're all talented, but just don't have the capability to make it through a game without making mistakes or dropping passes, whether that be Ingram or whether that be Ridley or whether that be, honestly, Lawrence at this point, who had one of the dumbest picks you'll ever see today. But they just are all super talented, and they can, over the course of the game, over the course of, several drives, their hit rate can still be above average and good at times. And who knows if they put it all together. But, early in the game, Evan Ingram was just playing terribly. He was fumbling. He was dropping passes. Targets to him were huge negatives for the team. But, you stick with it, and then they start becoming positive because he is talented. And eventually, he can win just as much or more than he loses, although there's still more losses you'd like to see. It's like that kind of across the board. So it's frustrating, but the firepower is still there. And then I really think ETN has been good for them this year. In multiple games when the passing offense has been disappointing, they have made a concerted effort to get ETN the ball in space in a multitude of different ways. They're not just a zone running team like you see from, the Falcons or maybe the Vikings. Like, they get gap scheme and pullers involved all the time. They throw it to him out of the backfield all the time. And when he's got the ball in the open field, watch out. This was a big ETN game, and he had that go route up the sideline. And I don't know how the hell KZ played that. It was terrible what the safety did. But still, there just is just enough juice where it's let's kind of spread it around, see who's on, see who's off. You can't guard everybody. okay, this is going to be kind of an ETN game, and maybe it's frustrating for Calvin Ridley, but it's good for ETN. And, earlier in the season, it was good for Ridley and maybe more frustrating for ETN. But since, the beginning, that hasn't quite been the case. There is enough there to be, 6-2. And then 31, their corner, Darius Williams, I believe is his first name. He had a crazy game, and he's stepped up as their number 2 corner this year overall. So, and Trayvon Walker has had some decent performances. I don't think that he has taken a huge step, but I do think that he has taken a step from where he was last year. And there's just enough on this team to win a bunch of games with an easy schedule. And that's kind of why I had them as the 1 seed before. It's like the Jaguars aren't even at the peak of their powers, and they're still 6-2. But, you keep winning these games. It's about getting hot at the right time. And, you stack these wins and you have a shot to be playing your best football at the end while you have a good record while the ugly stuff is out of the way. We'll see how they finish, but I'm not totally out on the Jaguars
yet.
Who
do they have going forward?
They've got the 49ers next week, who've lost 3 straight.
They have not been playing well, so yeah.
And then they've got the Titans, the Texans, the Bengals, the Browns, the Ravens, the Bucks, the Panthers, the Titans. So
that
kind
Bengals,
of a
Browns,
mix.
Ravens stretch will be tough.
Yeah, they've definitely got some big tests to see how legit they really are going forward. But 6-2 at this point, the playoffs are, pretty well at hand. I know that we thought maybe the Texans could come back and make it competitive, and maybe they still could.
Maybe the Titans.
If Levis, if they can just hit these deep shots at this rate, they'll be dangerous as well. So we'll see. But the Jaguars are, I don't know if they're figuring things out, but they're hanging around. They're 6-2. You can't quite forget about them.
Yeah,
I think I agree. I don't think
and
that's
then
crazy.
Pickett got hurt, and Trubisky came in, and he thought he was Mahomes. That was a crazy backup performance. Some guys come in and they're really conservative. They don't want to throw a turnover. They don't want to throw a pick. They don't want to get sacked. Trubisky came in and was throwing across his body, holding the ball a long time, like really looking downfield. But, the line's not quite good enough for that. The quarterback's not quite good enough for that. Their wide receivers are each good at their thing, but not quite well-rounded totally. And Johnson had a bad drop. And Pickens, I thought, had a great catch on the sideline that got overturned unfairly. But, he wasn't – he had a good game today, actually. He had the touchdown, which was a sick hurdle. But it's just not quite enough from top to bottom in terms of weapons, quarterback, play caller, offensive line.
Yeah.
It's just not enough talent, I think, overall in Pittsburgh and any key aspect of playing offense.
Yeah, I mean, even if how talented would they even have to be to overcome Canada, man?
They'd have to be pretty damn talented. They'd have to be pretty damn talented to make Canada's just extremely bland offense where everybody knows what's coming. Yeah,
right. I mean,
you would have to be the best roster in the league to win the Super Bowl with that man as offensive coordinator, I believe. Yeah. But at the same time, there's the offensive line especially is extremely suspect, and those two, and then the receiving room isn't maybe they could be Burrow and Chase and Higgins, just make it work anyway with explosives. Because I think Pickett has a higher ceiling as an explosive creator with his accuracy down the field and his ability to be accurate on the run. He can create explosive plays, but it just wasn't enough. Yeah. And today, this whole offseason, it hasn't been enough. You can't bail Canada out.
Yeah.
How they're 4-3, I just don't know. They just go for the ball on defense, man. They just force fumbles. They've gotten a bunch of takeaways. They're really, disguisey, but
that's how they beat the Browns.
Minka got hurt today. And then the safety play was really bad after that, hilariously bad after that. So we'll see if their reign of terror is over at the top of the AFC North somehow.
Yeah, so that probably puts the Ravens and Bengals in contention at this point for the number 1 spot. Browns and Steelers kind of take a back seat for now. We'll see how it shapes up. Still a very competitive division. One other thing before we move to the 4 o'clock window, Kirk Cousins also got hurt today. Torn Achilles,
yep.
out for the year. Just
it's a
sucks,
death knell,
man. Yeah.
He was playing some of the best football of his career.
He was balling, man.
Was.
I think a lot of the credit that the offensive line was getting in Minnesota was deservedly like Cousins's. I thought the 0 sack performance against the 49ers could have easily been a 3 or 4 sack performance if it wasn't for him hanging in there and not only not taking sacks, but making accurate throws under pressure. And same deal today. I thought in the first half, the Packers front was able to really bear down on him. And I thought had him dead to rights a couple times. He was still just always able to get the ball out. I thought he was playing pretty fearlessly, like pretty aggressively, making full field reads all the time. Accuracy kind of top notch. Like, in kind of a down year for quarterback play, like he was playing just about as well as anybody. There's a little bit of creativity in his game today too, before the injury, like scrambling out and making plays. It was really shaping up to be a stellar Kirk Cousins performance before the injury. And I thought they had a chance to win the whole division, like come back against the Lions, make up some ground and win it, because the defense with Flores has really found some things out. Bynum has been playing absolutely fantastic football, and Metellus as well. I got to give Flores credit for starting those guys over Lewis Cine. I couldn't quite see the vision, but it would be really hard for Lewis Cine to get playing time over 2 safeties who are playing really well. And Danielle Hunter's is a beast. The defense was like looking nice. Kirk was playing at a high level. The line has certainly stepped up. Addison is amazing. You're getting Jefferson back. I'm like, that might have more firepower than they might have overall more star power and like better players than the Lions do at their peak, but just not anymore. And that's unfortunate because it looked like the season was really turning around for them.
And I thought last season was Kirk Cousins, like the best season I've ever seen him play. I was like, he was aggressive down the field. I'm like, that is a different guy than this mid-tier quarterback we've seen over the past few years, but the defense was just so bad. I mean, there was just no overcoming that. So the defense playing better this year and the offensive line playing better, that was shaping up to make this
despite the record,
like a pretty good Vikings year. Like
even when they were 0-3, I think that you could have said the 2023 Vikings cleared the 2022 Vikings, which would have been, wild considering where their records are at. But I really think that it would have been a pretty easy or decisive 2023 Vikings victory if the two teams could have faced off. Like Donatel wasn't good. Flores is better. And I thought like it wouldn't matter what scheme Flores had with the players that they had, but the secondary has really, really shaped up.
Yeah. And I think we were also anticipating a Hunter trade. Because they had already.
I don't know. I mean, Hunter or not.
They had already gotten rid of so many key pieces on that defense that it kind of felt like they were just like scrapping it for parts. But I think having Danielle Hunter like helps out a lot. Just having any sort of star power.
Oh yeah, having Hunter is like a freak. Like he's a little Chandler Jones-esque, where like the moves that he hits are just not what other guys do. He just kind of has this deranged pass rush plan and is such a freak athlete that it kind of works. And the length of his arms unlock a lot of that as well. And yeah, he's in this scheme where there's a lot of one-on-ones because they blitz so much. He's just eating. And I didn't necessarily expect them to trade him, although I certainly thought it was a possibility. He's always been hurt. He hasn't had this kind of production in years and years and years. I just didn't think he'd have it.
Yeah, I know coming into this week, he was the league leader in sacks, although he does have a game above Watt and Garrett.
Yeah, he had a nuts play today where he hauled ass downfield and forced a fumble on Aaron Jones near the first down marker.
Goated.
The Packers, though, oh my God.
They're good, right, man?
I'm waiting for the game where they can like go multiple plays in a row without like an egregious mental error, I'm like, certainly at some point that'll have to happen. Right. But it's just getting worse and worse. I mean, they had 8 penalties in the first half that I turned the game off in the second half. Other games were too good for me to continue watching that. But the amount of penalties and wrong routes, like early in the game, it was an RPO and all the wide receivers blocked, and there was a blown block on Harrison Phillips, and he blew up a play in the backfield. So even when there are no fouls, there's still just terrible mistakes happening. And when there's tons of fouls on top of it, and Love plays one of probably the worst games of the season yet, it's just no good.
Have you tried running exclusively screens?
I hope that it doesn't happen. And my only thing with the Packers is I just don't think it's the play calling. I don't think it's LaFleur's playbook that is bad. I always hear people, complain about the play calling, how bad it is. The play calling is like the last thing on my mind. LaFleur has his play sheet, right? And this is a guy who crafted a great offense in Washington with McVay and Shanahan and McDaniel and all those guys. Those guys have a good playbook. There are good plays in those playbooks that everyone would love to run. People would probably trade picks for LaFleur's like play sheet, I think. But like the play calling is just the last thing. Like, okay, what plays would be good? If no one knows what the fuck they're doing, there are no plays that are good. There's nothing that he could do. Like, oh, he should call more 3-step. He should call more this. They all suck. Like, we can't do it.
Yeah, I think it's like when we start nitpicking, like play calling when the roster is bad. Like, let's just be real for a second.
And it's not even, and that's not even absolving LaFleur of blame. It's just that I think his play call sheet has like good plays on it. Yeah. But what LaFleur has not done clearly is teach people the offense and the intricacies of it. And, when a play gets run, there's usually a couple different options everybody has. Like they can settle down against certain leverages. They can settle down or keep going against certain coverages. They sometimes they have to go under a defender for spacing reasons, and they go over, and then 2 guys are in the same spot on like a drive concept. Like, but just know it's a lot to think about. It's like a college level course in NFL offense, or like a really high AP class. There's just a lot of shit to learn, and it looks like no one has been taught, and they just are out there and they're in over their heads, like all of them. And I don't think it's
how young is this offense? Like outside of Aaron Jones.
Oh yeah, it's super young, but it doesn't excuse the sheer amount of mistakes. I think like,
I mean, Love at the very least should know it. He's been there for 4 years now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and LaFleur's a former quarterbacks coach. Like, it's either unforgivable for Love or LaFleur. Like, if Love doesn't know what's going on, and I don't know, it's. I've heard that Hackett's job in that offense was kind of implementing on the field in practice LaFleur's ideas. Like, everyone can have ideas, or not everybody, but anyone. We could sit up and draw plays and say, this one I really think could work if there's a hitch here, and then we go into motion and run a corner and do this and this. You got to teach it to somebody. And bringing those ideas from like the whiteboard to the field seemingly hasn't happened since Hackett and Adams left. And obviously Adams, it doesn't matter what he's running, he's going to get open. And then Hackett was kind of the guy to implement these things. Like the current OC, what does he do? if he's not implementing anything, and he's probably not coming up with like the plays like LaFleur is, like, what does our OC do? Because it's totally uncoordinated right now. There was an internal promotion. I looked up his name earlier today. I already forgot. I don't know why he doesn't get more heat from Packers fans. I think it's just because no one knows what he is, who he is. And like it all goes on LaFleur, and like LaFleur probably promoted this guy. He probably handpicked this guy. So it is a little bit on LaFleur. Again, I don't want to absolve LaFleur of blame. It's just a different type of blame than like, oh, LaFleur, call better plays. It's like, LaFleur, your coordinator isn't coordinating anything. No one is learning anything. The details are lost on everybody, and no one knows what the fuck they're doing. Maybe if he was in a different situation, the play calling would actually matter. But right now it just does not. And that's my rant on the Packers for today. That's all I'll say. The defense, I won't even get into. Jair got cooked all day.
No.
Quay Walker had a disaster performance.
Flip him over in the pan. Throw some
it's
salt
not
on
good
him because he's cooked.
It's not good. It's not good.
I'm so sorry.
Oh, it's okay.
Theo and I are living the same life. Everyone wants to blame your offensive-minded head coach.
Stefanski to the Packers. Let's make it happen.
No. I do not want to get rid of Stefanski was the only thing keeping the Browns in this game today. Because the offense was just completely inept. Outside of what did I say?
PJ Walker had a good first half.
The Browns did not have any scoring offense outside of like screenplays. Let's be real.
PJ Walker had a good first half. There was the shot to Amari up the sideline, which was really good, where he had to kind of adjust and make. He had a couple really athletic out of structure plays earlier. Where I was like, he's kind of carrying them, and then they kind of dried up in the second. You just can't. We just can't be relying on these bum quarterbacks to like carry us through games. Yes,
right.
That is definitely true.
Like if PJ Walker can make a couple nice throws here, like it's gonna happen. Like Deshaun made a couple nice throws when he was healthy still. Like you're not just gonna have zero good throws ever, especially when you have Amari Cooper. But
yes, PJ is definitely not like the answer at quarterback. I just thought in the first half he was kind
fine.
Of hooping a little bit.
It was fine, but I just can't. I cannot sit and like watch fourth quarter PJ Walker. Like it's just the worst football I've ever seen. He just sits and he can't. I think my biggest problem is he doesn't really get off his first read. Right? There's a lot of throws where there was a throw in the red zone where Elijah Moore was running wide open on like a shallow cross, and the announcers are like, "Dog, he is wide. That's a walk-in touchdown." But PJ Walker has his eyes so fixated on, we're just getting this ball out and we're just going to get it out on the right side. And it just doesn't work like that all the time. Like you have to be able to either get to your second read. And sometimes what he'll do is he will realize that the first read isn't open and then he just holds it and it's just scramble drill, or he takes a sack. And I'm just, please add some sort of value past like getting the ball to Amari Cooper when he's your first read. Like
you need to be able to like move the ball in rhythm if you're a quarterback. Yeah. Like athletic plays are good, and PJ is a crazy athlete. We saw the play he did against the Falcons last year. Like he's a crazy athlete, and
he was. I will give him the credit. He was running really physically today, willing to put his body on the line to pick up third down conversions. What are you doing, dog?
Dude is casting spells on you while you're trying to get a takeoff. That's tough.
Bro is putting a jinx on me. Like, what the? What are we talking about?
It's done.
Did you fix the Browns? I don't know. Like,
a shift is about to happen.
The Browns and Packers offenses will be good this week. This is a guarantee.
Yeah, no Wizards.
A shift is about to happen. Oh, anyway, man. What were you saying about PJ Walker?
He stinks, man. Like, he's a physical runner. He's willing to put his body on the line to get a first down. But like,
at least the defense is still good. I mean, they gave you guys a real shot to win today.
They did.
After a good first drive from the Seahawks, or first two drives, really, they were up.
Well, the second drive, they had the ball at like, they started inside. They started like on the other side of the 50, so it was like. But I mean, yeah, they did score. Like the Browns.
Yeah, I thought.
I guess, but
Geno did not have a stellar performance by any stretch. But I mean, nothing Mo crazy. Hurst, that pick was wild.
That pick was nasty.
They had their outside
beautifully
corners.
Drawn. That was a crazy play.
That was a wild one. It looked like maybe Geno was kind of trying to look a little to the far to the right, like when he was releasing to throw or separating.
I think he was trying to look off Taki at the linebacker, because if he just stares that down,
I don't think he saw
that
Hurst
would have
either.
been covered. No, no shot.
But still,
No
it was
shot.
a really athletic play from him.
Yeah, that was a crazy interception. And then Garrett had a nice sack. But yeah, it's just they can't do it all, man. At some point, the offense has to be able to step up. We're not going to be able to just like win every game on the back of our defense. This happened against the Steelers, where it's like the defense played well, but your offense is just so bad. And I got to give the Seahawks defense some credit too. They're I think much improved from where they were last year. Like the secondary is still very good. Adams is a really good addition for them, and then the run defense has been a massive. Boye Mafe.
It's Mafe.
Okay, he cooked us.
He's been cooking the last several weeks.
He's been cooking, bro. Well, Jed Wills sucks. This is the other problem: is we need to get Jed Wills out of here, man. He's so bad. I don't know what it. He's just like not quick. Like if you go outside and then like if you stem outside and cut back in, like you beat him.
And he's just not quick.
He's just not quick enough.
Just
man. He's got like I don't know if it's just like the hips aren't good enough, if his punch is weak, but it's
a lot of things. I don't think he has a great punch. I don't think that he has great mirroring ability. I don't really think Wills really excels at any individual aspect.
I mean, it's easy to critique him when he's on the Browns offensive line, and it's like, but at the same time, Callahan is the coach. It's like if you can't succeed with Callahan as your coach, you're not good.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
Yeah, in pass pro, it can be kind of a rough go of it with him. But yeah, the Seahawks, Pete Carroll still deserves a lot of credit. The fact that this defense has Jordan Brooks playing really well coming off an ACL, and Boye Mafe seems to be hitting his ceiling, and Witherspoon seems to be hitting his ceiling, and Woolen, and you bring in all these new guys and they all flourish, and Bobo is getting involved and he looks good, and JSN these last 2 weeks has stepped up and made a big impact, and Charles Cross and Abe Lucas, like they've been banged up this year. The line has been rough.
The line played well today.
Yeah, the line didn't play awful today against a really good pass rush. They had, obviously Garrett had a big sack towards the end, and it's going to happen. But
general, like the Browns' defensive line was pretty quiet for most of the game.
It was really their secondary. Their corners made some great reads on outbreakers. Yeah. Like there should have been. There was a pick, and there should have been another big pick six that was dropped.
Oh my God.
And that was one where I thought JSN was in the right to settle down because it was outside leverage the whole way. And so he stopped. Okay. Gino threw it outside anyway. Mm-hmm. And usually when a miscommunication happens, it's not the quarterback's fault because the wide receiver didn't do what he expected. I'm like, I don't know if Gino did what JSN expected, like it's kind of tough to know exactly what
JSN's kind of an expert when it comes to feeling out space as a receiver.
Should have drafted him, man. Oh my God. I just want someone to run a correct route. JSN, I trust, is like a correct route runner. That's why I think he did the right thing to settle down.
There's only a handful of guys that you're
guys can do no wrong.
Packers. I mean, Packers are gonna have like the third overall pick. Is Marvin Harrison Jr. a correct route runner? That's all he needs to be. I don't care about all the benching.
He's that and more.
Shit. They say that's what they're saying. Okay. I need someone with fundamentals.
No,
please.
The last couple of weeks for Marvin Harrison have been special.
Pretty good,
dude.
Packer. Him or Keon Coleman, I'm excited.
Hey, you'll probably get one of them. I mean,
although Alt or the Penn State guy, I mean, Rasheed Walker has been terrible. I don't know if they benched him or he was hurt. It was kind of a Ritter situation where it was kind of like he was playing badly and he left. So it's like it really could be anything.
Yeah. So, but I'll say one more thing about the Seahawks, and then we can kind of segue into 49ers Bengals. So the Seahawks right now, they're first in their division in the NFC West. It's not totally unthinkable that they could, the way the 49ers have been playing, the Seahawks, I think the only thing that's preventing them from really being a tier 1 team in the NFC right now. They're the most penalized team in football. And that almost cost them late in the game today against the Browns.
That was kind of a ticky-tack call on Woolen, I thought.
Woolen,
it was hands to the face. I guess it was kind of around the neck. That's probably not where they teach him to punch. It should have been a little lower. But I thought that was
is
pretty
hard because he's like 6'5", and like barring who has longer arms than Tariq Woolen other than maybe Joey Porter?
That means he should be even more accurate, I guess. I actually
I'm just saying it's hard for him to get lower, so it's every once in a while punch might come in a little high, but they are the most penalized team in football. Right. It's like if they can clean that up, the offensive line's playing well, their run defense is good, the secondary's nice. If they seem to be getting healthier up front. They don't even have Nwosu right now. I mean, they get Nwosu back.
No, their line needs to be healthy, I think. Like when you start to get into the playoff, their offensive line has been really, really banged up this whole year. And I think that is kind of where a lot of these passing offense issues stem from. And then the pass rush on the other side, like Mafe breaking out is huge for them. But you get in the playoffs and who is your best lineman with Nwosu out? Yeah, boy, you're going in there with Boye Mafe, edge one.
I mean, how many times did they literally pass rush Jordan Brooks?
A lot, and he might be their best pass rusher because he was getting home on a lot of those. Yeah, but Seahawks, 2 first-round picks and a second for Rashawn Gary. We will some Seahawks delegation member. These are my terms.
Matt, what do you want for Brian Burns?
He's not as good as Gary, so you don't want to listen to his offer.
For the Seahawks, what the Seahawks have?
Give me JSN in a first, please. You guys have Jake
JSN
Bobo,
in a first.
So you can say we got we hit on a little sleeper.
Well, why don't you take Jake Bobo then?
I'll take Jake Bobo. Well, I want the Ohio State guy.
Yeah,
or 4 first.
4 first.
5. Theo cast a spell on them. Theo,
no,
the Seahawks.
That's not how it works.
Bad friend.
Yeah, but in order for the Seahawks to be the leader of the NFC West, that means the 49ers had to go down. And after losing 3 straight because Jim Schwartz broke them, apparently, they have not looked good since. Like they have not looked good at all since. I didn't watch this game. I figure both of you did. What happened? Yeah. Why do these guys suck? Why do they suck now?
Well, first off,
I think go ahead, Matt.
I mean, it was a Burrow masterclass, man.
Capital M, yeah.
Oh my god, dude. I mean, the one play you got to talk about is where it's like the Eli Manning 2007 helmet catch in the backfield where you're like, okay, well, he's down. They're about to call the play dead.
Armstead and Bosa both. Yeah.
They had him dead to right, and he runs out and just, fires a laser. It's like, dude, he's so back. And Burrow at the start of the year just couldn't even dream of doing something like that because of his injury. And now it's entirely back. I mean, this is why this guy's a top 5 quarterback. I think he had his record for most completions in a row set.
He did game. The week after hitting his record for longest air yard pass of his career. So, he's setting personal best. Yeah, these last 2 weeks he's been absolutely lights out. I thought Orlando Brown did an okay job. I'll have to go look at the all 22. Bosa had a lot of pressures, but I don't think he had any hits or sacks. And I thought they were leaving Orlando Brown one-on-one on him a lot. And what was happening?
Hits and 0 sacks, they say.
2 hits. He was getting pressure, but considering that Orlando Brown was one-on-one, I was almost willing to live with pressure if it's Bosa one-on-one. He's getting pushed back into him. But it's never instant win. Bosa blows up the play, despite the fact that they weren't giving that much chip help from what I was noticing. Although I was kind of splitting my attention between that and the Seahawks game, which was very good. So maybe I just was missing something. So I thought that was like okay. The line overall played okay. And I think the 49ers pass rush really misses D'Amico Ryans. Like they've got the players, but it just doesn't see the blitzes don't land the same way. They just aren't creating the kind of havoc that they did last year at all. And I couldn't tell you the nuances of exactly why that is. I just think, when you dial it
for Bosa, my fault.
Okay. So I guess he did get home. Maybe Orlando Brown didn't play that great then because he did allow a lot of pressures.
Oh,
He never got beat super badly one-on-one. I'll say that. And it's just with the 49ers, if the pass rush isn't really getting home, the outside corners also can struggle. And last week, Jordan Addison really abused him.
Their corners are not all that. And then against, this Cincinnati receiving core, that don't fly at all.
No. And again, in zone coverage, if the pass rush isn't getting home, I'm not convinced Dre Greenlaw is like this super major positive in coverage as well, because he's such a closer that like if the quarterback looks him off, he'll really, really fly. And I think that they got him a couple times, and then they had to kind of move to even a more man coverage heavy type of defense, which of course the Bengals want you to play.
Yeah. And I thought the 49ers knew their weakness at cornerback and started playing off pretty hard and playing deep pretty hard. And then the Bengals sort of wanted to bait them back in so they could hit their stuff. And then they were willing to, they ran a lot of those little screens to the outside with their wide receivers. And they ran the ball very well today too. But I really liked from Taylor, and they said this on the broadcast, but he was running those screens super hard. And then after he'd gotten probably 5 or 6 of those called, maybe not quite that many, but a good number, he fakes it and has Chase just, instead of blocking, just run out down the sideline, touchdown. And I thought he pulled that out at such a cool time. Like they get the turnover and then immediately pull out the little trickery for the tutty. And that was a game right there. After the Purdy interception, immediate touchdown. It was over. And this is, I didn't think the 49ers run defense looked that great. I really didn't. And I thought Mixon had a very good game. So overall, I mean, it's good stuff. And the Bengals defense is just, their cornerback room is so much better than it was last year, man. I think they've got some serious, I know Purdy threw for some big numbers, but they still got some guys who can make some plays. And a lot of that was kind of racked up when the Bengals were sort of playing super soft prevent stuff. And they had a couple of interceptions. I mean, they're linebackers. Logan Wilson had that one play where he kind of faked getting looked off and then came back inside. And then was Pratt the other guy who had one?
Pratt was the guy who was closing on Purdy, and then Purdy tried to throw over him, and he basically ripped it out of his hand right as it left. Like he was pressuring him with his arms up. Purdy threw it, and it got immediately picked off. It was almost like a block in basketball, where not only is it a block, but it's an immediate steal as well. Like they just hang right onto it, which is always one of the most elite defensive plays you can make. And yeah, Pratt ripped it away from him. And then on the very next throw, on the next drive, it looked like they were trying to run someone on a crosser first, and then a dig in right behind him. So you're trying to clear out the middle of the field with that first crosser. And then there's a wrap route where McCaffrey ran a hitch, and then I think it was Ayuk runs a dig. So the hitch keeps people down. The crosser moves people out of the way, and then you hit the dig. But to me, Ayuk didn't widen his stem at all before breaking it in, and they were from a stack. So the crosser and the dig basically ended up in the exact same place. And I can't remember what line, but I think it was Pratt. Did Pratt pick them both off?
I thought Wilson had one. I could be wrong.
I can't remember which linebacker it
was. Wilson
but
had one and Pratt had the other. I know Wilson had the one on that play.
So
he's
Wilson,
been a demon for so long, man.
Wilson was able to take away both routes, and then Purdy should have never thrown it because it was he had a really good sense of that dig developing behind him, obviously. the 49ers run that thing all the time. So he was able to undercut it. And Purdy never should have thrown it, but the spacing was quite bad. And I don't know. It was kind of a risky decision to play Purdy this week after a concussion on a short week. He got hit at the end and his head snapped back and he was kind of holding it like it hurt. It's like, I don't know if playing Purdy.
And he was running the ball, man. I guess I shouldn't say the Bengals cornerbacks played that good if Ayuk had 100, but a lot of that also came from Kittle, and only 2 49ers receivers had any targets. Wow, that's kind of crazy.
That is crazy.
So I guess Ayuk, but they've been a lot better than they were last year, granted, just through health. Oh, and shout out to I can't remember his name, the Princeton guy, the receiver.
I don't know why I want to say Ilgausquist. That's a former NBA player.
Yeah.
Ilyasova, maybe? That also might be an NBA player.
Nah, Ilyasova. You're thinking of another NBA player.
I'm thinking of big men, like white big men from the Baltics.
It's like
NBA. Jokic?
I heard his name pronounced. It's Andre. It's Andre. This is one of those guys.
Iguodala.
He was a demon on special teams in this game as well.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to lock in that last name. I gotta go.
It's okay. And Trent Williams is injured, and the backup isn't that good. And when he's out, none of the linemen in San Francisco are like too great in pass pro.
That's fair.
But we are rooting for the Princeton guy. I say.
Why are we rooting for the Princeton guy?
Because I think being an NFL player from an Ivy League school is just kind of cool, and he had like a super high RAS score. So that's dope, and he's tall.
He did.
So that's dope.
So
it would be really cool if he was good. He'd just be kind of an interesting player.
What was his major?
He has 2 touchdowns. They put him in there in the red zone.
What was his major? Did he study like law?
I don't know. Probably sports medicine if he's an NFL player.
Oh, he could have been a 4.0 law student, and
he did go to Princeton.
Maybe he passed the bar. And
why are we speculating on this?
Maybe
Iosivas. What is his major at Princeton?
We will be finding this out while Theo's looking that up. Matt, which of these games do you think is better suited to be the economics, the Little Caesars game of the week?
Well, we talked about the Panthers one, so I'm going to say that one. Unless that's
the Panthers did win. I think that is
okay. Unless we want to talk about I think Bengals 49ers was kind of a big one, so we could go with that. But
yeah,
the Panthers one came down to a last-second field goal actually that had to get kicked 9 times.
That was
crazy. What?
If I may contest, what are the implications of the Panthers winning?
It's huge.
Like, all I'm saying, like the Bengals take control of the AFC North a little bit. The 49ers lose 3 straight. They're all of a sudden no longer sitting atop their own division. It does mean something to you. It does.
No, dude, it's actually crazy. That last field goal, like the first attempt got blocked because it was offsides, and I fell to my knees for like 0.1 seconds before that flag got thrown. Dude, it was sick shit.
Oh,
but okay, we'll make it the Bengals 49ers one.
All right, we'll make the Little Caesars game of the week Bengals 49ers. But yeah,
do we have?
I think that's it.
Anything else?
How was any Halloween plans? Do you go on any parties?
Matt came up from Cincinnati. I went down to Miami to visit my girlfriend, and she threw a Halloween party. But the night before that, we just went out on the town, and I was dressed up as Darth Vader, and she was Padme. So
classic costume.
I can't be Anakin, so
there was you could be. RG3 was Harry Potter.
Yeah, but he's.
What do you mean?
I'm just saying, if I dress up as a Jedi, people are gonna think I'm Mace Windu.
Gotta get a. I should have kept all the hair that I shaved off and made an Anakin wig,
gave it to me.
I could have given it to you. It would have been just enough hair to pull it off.
I could have worn a wig. You're right. I could have.
If you go out on Halloween or anytime around that in Southern Ohio, the amount of Ellie De La Cruz City Connect jerseys you see is absolutely crazy. We saw like at least 7. I swear to God.
I love the old just go as a sports player costume. That's a classic boy costume.
Here's what
it's like cat ears for a girl. You can just throw on it. Like that's a costume you see all the time. For a boy, it's literally just throw on an NBA jersey and like shorts.
My girlfriend Sophia has this theory about like couples costumes and about how most of the time it's like a girl wears something that's like sexy whatever, right? Just hot variation of whatever they're dressed up as.
Like a career or something.
Yeah. Yeah. And then the man is just there. They're just like a toaster. Like they don't actually...
guy... It's so
like,
sad.
It's not even like I was like, there's no way. She's showing me examples. I'm like, these aren't even creative costumes. The guy's just wearing like their normal everyday attire.
No, girl will have to be in a sexy Velma costume, and then the guy is just like in a white t-shirt and jeans, and I'm like, I'm Fred. He's dressed like a normal fucking guy, and just call it Shaggy. Like, yeah, we as a sex do not go hard for Halloween.
I want to see a man do like a sexy firefighter and a woman do like
just like a fire hydrant, like just
fire hydrant. No, I want her to be like a damsel in distress, but like she's in like rags that have been like burned, basically.
I guess that would. I saw a costume that was one guy was Randy Johnson and the other was like a dead bird.
Yes, that's a good costume.
Feathers and blood. That was fire.
That's a good costume.
That's kind of, but again, that's not sexy from the guy.
No. Can you do a sexy Randy Johnson?
I don't know.
Maybe someone can pull it off.
I guess if you can be a sexy dead bird, I guess you could probably be a sexy Randy Johnson. There's it's hard to be sexy for Halloween here in Denver. There's another winter storm advisory around me. I thought it was over last summer with all the winter storms that I got. Man. Literally the first town in America, I think, to have one is Denver. It was like literally a blizzard yesterday.
You are the solution to global warming, man. You got to move to Antarctica.
I guess so. The last 3 winters I've been in, the one was senior year of high school before I moved to Arizona. That was the polar vortex year.
Oh,
and then Flagstaff had like its snowiest winter ever. And now we're already getting winter advisories in Denver. So
the polar vortex year was crazy.
Yeah. Last year in Flagstaff was even crazier than the polar vortex year. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah. Theo, you have to go like fix the ice caps, brother.
I'd like to. I'd like to try.
I'm sure they have great birds there for you to watch. But
ptarmigans.
He already knows.
Got some. I don't know what else is up there. It's gonna skylark go real far north.
Theo, don't you have a little crow? Did you show the crow?
Some eiders.
Show the crow.
Show the crow before we get out.
Try to.
Okay.
For
those listening, Theo has a crow.
I got 2.
You've got
For those listening, Theo has 2 crows.
Got them from Goodwill. But
anyway, I know you were pumped when you found those. Yep. At me or Blaiden or the viewers?
What spell are you casting now? For those not watching on YouTube, Theo's casting more spells.
For those listening, Theo's hexing me.
What is the sound? Shadow Wizard Money Gang. We love casting spells. Oh.
All right, Theo, let's see the orb.
There's been a big shift.
There's been a big shift. Few will recognize it, but it's happened.
Few will recognize.
You'll know it when you see it. Next Sunday.
So true, man. So real. But I think that's all we've got for today's episode. Appreciate y'all tuning in. We'll be back with...
Finally, I can get to this Herbert masterclass that's been happening as we've been recorded.
Aren't they playing the Bears, man? Like, what are we talking?
This is perfect time for Herbert to rack up the EPA. That way, later when it matters most, and he's throwing interceptions or not winning games, the stats, the advanced stats, the numbers and computers.
0.68 EPA per play.
Listen, man,
we're up.
Herbert will never be as good as my retro bowl quarterback, J.R. Hubert.
Yeah, J.R. Hubert better, man.
That stands for Justin Hubert.
Justin Hubert.
No wonder he's so good. It's obviously like taking inspiration from the pro.
Yeah, man. It's so true. Thank you all for tuning in. It's been an absolute blast. We'll be back with a couple of live streams this week. We, of course, have our Little Caesars Monday Night Football live stream. And then we will also have another wide receiver. Or, I don't know, will we continue doing receivers? Or do we want to move on to a different position? But we'll do
maybe one more receiver.
Maybe one more receiver. But we're doing college prospect film reviews live on YouTube every Tuesday. So make sure you tune into that as well. And then, of course, we'll be back with another episode Thursday morning. But until then, thank you all for tuning in. And until next time, we'll catch you on the Flippity Flip.